everyone, and welcome to my 10th Patreon funded how-to video. This month I want to introduce you to the wonderful world of crochet cabling. If you've ever done knitted cabling before, then the sequence of events in this isn't going to be too much of a mystery to you. You're still going to be switching stitches on a row in order to create relief work in the fabric below. But what you actually get out of it is entirely different. Instead of the soft rope-like feel to knitted cabling, what you'll actually get with crochet cabling is a lot sharper, a lot starker, more like Celtic knots really than just nice rolling fabric, and I love that about it. I think it's a lot more rustic, it's much nicer as a result. So here we're going to start you off with a small piece of crochet. With 8 chains, I did a row of double crochet stitches on that and the row of trebles on top. For my Americans, the stitches I have on top are your double crochet, the one where you yarn over to begin with. So here we go, we've got a small little piece that I've established my fabric with, and from here we're going to work our first row of relief crochet. This will be the start of your crochet cabling career here. So what I'm going to do here is start off with 1 chain stitch and then work into the top of the first stitch there with a double crochet. Now it's important to have an odd number of stitches on your own practice piece. So here I've got 7 stitches I'm working with, and the alternating sequence we're going to use here is going to be double, treble, ending on a double. It's important you have doubles at the start and the end of the row of your relief work. So we have our first double here at the start done. Now we're going to introduce our first treble crochet. But instead of working into the V on top of your fabric, what you're actually going to do instead is to find the body of the second treble along, and we're going to put a treble into the body itself. I find it a lot easier if you fold your fabric in half and push straight through as if that was the top of your crochet really. You're going to push your hook through from the right under to the left and then create your treble on that piece of fabric instead. And that will instantly give you your first piece of crochet cabling work. So you can see it kind of does stand up a little bit more proud than the stitches around it, and that's the idea. It's all surface work, you know. So now what we're going to do is alternate between the double crochet on top of the stitch and the treble into every second stitch along on the front of the work. So I find the 3rd stitch along and I work a double crochet into that. I find the 4th one along, pinch my work, push my hook through, and then I create a treble on that. These trebles, by the way, because of how they're made, they're still created the same way, so they're called treble crochet stitches. But where the hook goes in means they're called front post treble. They're worked into the post of the row below and they're worked into the front of the fabric. That's where that word comes from. For my Americans, that'd be a front post double is what you'd be looking at on a pattern. So we'll finish off this row here with my last front post treble, finishing, as I say, on a double crochet into the last stitch along. And you can see there already I've got 3 very distinct lines on the fabric in front of me here. That's our relief row complete. You can see all the work on it there. The return row really is nice and simple. I kind of consider it plastering over anything that went wrong. We're just going to do 1 chain stitch to turn and then a row of double crochets back along the work. We got there, that's 4, 5, 6, and 7, there we go. So now that we've established our work here, we have worked into the trebles on the first row that we had. Every single other relief row hereafter is going to be worked very similarly, but instead of working into one of the stitches below, you're always going to make sure that any of your relief stitches are worked into the previous row's relief stitches, and that ensures that the lines actually will continue flowing upwards through your fabric. So to work into one of these relief stitches here, all we have to do is identify it, pinch it with your fingers and wiggle your fingers until you feel the nice easy gap below the stitch itself. Because the stitch itself is lying on top of fabric, there's going to be a gap in the middle there that you can push your hook in through. So if I just wiggle my fingers here, I can find that little gap there in the fabric itself. That is what I'm going to push my hook in to create my next front post treble crochet stitch. And again, we're going to just double front post treble, double front post treble the whole way along until you've got yourself your next row of relief stitches done. After that point, it's just a question of doing another row of double crochets and then carrying on whatever your pattern may tell you to do. But that gives you an establishment, something to establish your work on for the rest of your actual crochet cabling. So here we go, that's it. That's a small piece of relief crochet done there. You can see the 3 lines have carried their way up. They're quite clearly a relief stitch. The back of the work, there's nothing on it there. It's totally smooth, just like that. So I hope you give this a go. It's fantastic for things like ribbing on sleeves of jumpers and that sort of stuff as well. It gives you a great chunky effect on it. So I hope you do give it a go. If you do, let me know in the comments below or over on my Patreon page. And remember, videos like this are only made possible with your help. So please do visit my Patreon page and consider making a pledge. Thanks a million for watching. See you next month.